Now, going back to the harder time when you lost your father and you had those behavioral issues, can you dig a little bit deeper and share with us, if you're comfortable,
Absolutely.
what were those behavioral issues? So the people watching, especially the young black men watching, know what to look for, and their parents know what to look for in situations like these when a young black male is grieving and they're hurting inside and they're in desperate pain and they're acting out. What are they doing? My name is Kevin Hines. I jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. I believed that I had to die, but I lived. Now I help people be here tomorrow.
Yeah, so a lot of it was, it was the hysterical nature that took place. Receiving that phone call, it was probably a Saturday morning, roughly 5 o'clock in the morning, and I hear this real loud scream from my aunt yelling, and saying that my father had passed. That moment in itself really takes me back to just thinking about the chill bumps, the anxiety, the being nervous. And that was a part of a trauma response, right? Not understanding that, wow, I'm really experiencing this, but that same feeling, those emotions would last over a period of time. And so anytime I would hear somebody yell or anytime I would hear the phone ring at a certain time of the night, I got that same response. And that's a part of trauma. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that. And so while understanding that was going on, that led me to get into a lot of trouble in school, not listening to the teacher, wouldn't do my work, would argue back, would get into fights, would become destructive. This in itself was a part of depression. The early onset part of depression in which I was going through impulsivity, anger issues, wasn't critically thinking, mood swings. And so that really was some of the day-to-day and very often behavior that I experienced. And again, nobody thought that it was nothing going on, and it was just always dad passed, we're going to pray, we're going to figure out a way to get through this. And so those were some feelings. And if there's people out there that's experiencing those type of emotions, and I just would advise anybody who's going through those different turbulent times to really pay attention to their body, to the way that they feel, the way that their mind is functioning, because that was an opportunity where I could have gotten more help. And so that led me to getting, some help later on there going into a facility. But I also think that it was super important that we can explain that to our broader communities about how that works.
What was it like having to go into an inpatient unit at 10 years of age? Tell me that.
It was very informal. This was a place that actually offered a lot of life skills. They also offered, how to canoe, how to fish, how to take care of yourself as a young person. So the way that was done was also through a very one-on-one peer-related education instruction. You had a counselor, you had to stay there. So it wasn't your very formal inpatient facility, but it was definitely getting treatment. And you was away from home, 10 years old, could only go home sometimes on the weekends, sometimes we couldn't. And so that lasted for a few months. And so that was right after my father passed. And so I realized that was a very scary moment, and I felt probably the most abandoned out of any of that time, because here you go, somebody lose a parent, and then also they have to go into a facility or with a place with people that they don't know for a period of months. And so that's very disheartening. And I think a lot of people are experiencing those, that separation anxiety, some of those different things that come along with going through grief, maybe processing it or having to, maybe go through a different way of going through healing. And so even though I was healing at my 10-year-old self, I also felt really lost and abandoned as well, because it wasn't a connection of why this was actually happening. It was just more of, you're going through just a hard time. And so I think that having clarity of that now really helps to accept that. That was part of something that needed to happen, right? That we go through grief. Counseling is an option. We need to explore other things. And so I hope that story inspires others to not just deal with just feeling, but also to getting some help if they need help.
If this video helped you, inspired you, or you think it could help someone you know, please take a second to share this video. Your share could save a life. And whatever you do, fight to be well. Be here tomorrow.